I'm very happy to say Rory O'Connor is here in studio. Hello.
Evening, Joe.
Of the Irish Independent, of course. And Gordon Darcy is with us. Hello, good evening.
Hi, guys. Good evening.
Can we just start for a moment on Toulouse 54, Sharks 20? By the way, a more competitive game than the scoreline suggests. It doesn't reflect the first 60, 70 minutes of the game. But Rory, I found myself watching this and it was an amazing game generally. But in Antoine Dupont, what the hell are we seeing here?
Yeah.
Like, this is nuts. Every time I watch him, I'm thinking, this is off the charts. And anyone who saw the game on Saturday will know the array of skill and flair and execution and power and speed and intelligence and any other quality you want to mention. I just think I did find myself saying, what the hell are we seeing here in this guy?
He's a phenomenon, and in a sport where it prides itself on teamwork and values, you do need a superstar, and he is this generation's superstar. He has the potential to transcend the sport in a World Cup year. He's born in the right place at the right time. He's already, he's not Kylian Mbappe levels of fame in France, but he's the biggest thing they have going for them in this World Cup year. He's on the front page of GQ. He's appearing at events. He's appearing away from the sports pages, but he seems to be able to do that without letting it affect his performances. He's able to just dominate games in a way that few other players are. Like, it's such a complex game with so many moving parts that it's really hard for a player to catch the eye in the way that he does in every game that he plays. But his decision making, sometimes his own teammates don't look like they're frustrated by what he does, but it nearly always comes off. His strength, the Matt Hansen tackle in that Ireland game, the things he's able to do, he gets you up out of your seat. And he will be in Dublin in 2 weeks' time, and look, there's a great game to be had, and Leinster have a chance to get into a final, and 52,000 odd people will buy tickets for numerous reasons. But one of the reasons they'll go is because it's a chance to see Antoine Dupont in his prime, in the flesh, because he is this generation's superstar. Like, you can talk about all-time greats and you can talk about comparing positions. McCall was obviously the dominant force of his generation with Carter. Lomu before that was the one who changed the game altogether. But what age is Dupont now? He's about 26. Like, he is right now, he is the game superstar, and he's playing not that far away, and we see him quite regularly, and it's amazing. He's playing in that Toulouse team. He played the game the right way. He plays for a French team that play an incredible brand when they want to. He's a smart decision maker. He's a leader. He's got it all. He's fantastic.
Gordon, I don't know if you caught the game Saturday. If you didn't, it's fine. He was just his usual self. Where would you rank him across the scrum halves, for instance, that you've seen over the last 20, 30 years?
Oh, geez. Nice easy question to start with, Joe. Thanks. Put me on the spot. No, I did see the match. Actually, he's up there with pretty much every one of them. And I think the bit that's setting him apart is, like, if you go back and you might have a brilliant pass with the ball, Peter Stringer. You might have had a real aggressive Justin Marshall, something like that. Something like Perry Whippu, guys who really excel. George Gregan, that kind of the type of player that George Gregan was, a bit of everything, but not at this level. Does he have a weakness? The clasping at straws is probably tries to overplay it, but as Rory was saying, it invariably comes off. I think one of the things with him, though, is he's playing in such a phenomenal team that I think you have to give an awful lot of credit to the players that are around him, both at France and at Toulouse, in that, one, maybe if it doesn't go off, they'll tidy up for him, but they seem to be tidying up for each other across the board. But he's standing out in a team that delivers standout moments continually, which is just bizarre. Everybody's still talking about Antoine Dupont, and it was Ramos was unbelievable in that match, yeah. And you're still talking about this guy. So I think that's kind of where we are at the moment. It's just really the game. He is that player that didn't suit the game 10 years ago, but the way he plays the game, the way the game is being as evolved, probably maybe is the right word, in the last 3 years, with rules and a little bit of tinkering at the breakdowns and well, rules, enforcing of rules maybe, higher tempo. It is really suiting a player like him. So it's kind of everything arriving at the right place, the right time. And Rory's hit the nail on the head. Like people are going to buy tickets for this match because it is the two most enjoyable teams going head to head.
Yeah, it's amazing. And thank God rugby has evolved that way. I want no part in a sport that is evolving away from suiting an Antoine Dupont and his skill set. Rory, seeing as we started on that game, a word on it. I mean, when Grant Williams, who I appreciate plays wing as well, but when he sprinted in for his try, I just thought, my God, the speed. It was akin to when you listen to your podcast on 1.5 speed. Like, it was just, I'm sure some elder statesmen or Gordon in his elder years, there'd be a fear of being exposed out there because two lightning teams and they came to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Sharks just couldn't sustain it. And you know, whether it's possible to sustain that level of pace on the back of long haul flights in economy class is a big question. But they had a right good go at it, the Sharks, and they showed up in the way that you would kind of hope that the South Africans would, and they tested this Toulouse team across 50 odd minutes, but they just couldn't sustain it against it. Like, Toulouse have a deeper squad, they have a bench that can come on, they've quality players in every position, and then they can replace them with quality players as well. They're one of the 3 teams in this competition who have the depth that you can go as deep as possible. But you know, when you see the Stormers and the Sharks at full tilt, less so the other 2 teams, but those 2 are able to live in this company. Certainly their starting 15s are, and they can play. It's like they obviously have the physical attributes to mix it up front, and they were playing without Etzebeth. He would have made a big difference with them at the weekend, but they can win those collisions. They can stop the likes of Miafu getting over the gain line sometimes, even if it's impossible to do it over 80 minutes, but they also have that incredible game-changing speed outside, and also a capacity to go from anywhere. I've been searching in my head for the name of their 10 and it keeps evading me, but his capacity to counter-attack like a fullback was really, really impressive as well, and he opened up spaces and he found holes in that Toulouse defence on the counter that Leinster will look to expose in a few weeks' time as well. So I mean, the way they took Munster apart a couple of weeks ago, on paper they're a fantastic team. They often don't live up to it. I mean, they're still 8th in the URC, which is crazy, but they brought a lot to the party and they brought the best out of Toulouse. But the way that Toulouse opened up in the last half an hour and the rugby they played, it ceased to be a contest, but it didn't really matter because it was so enjoyable to watch, and they're a phenomenon. Like, they are a clear and present danger to Leinster's ambitions as they come to Dublin in a couple of weeks' time. They're a much better team this year than they were a year ago.
Yes, okay. Gordon, slightly technical question. I feel in particular because we've been comparing the various out halves available to Johnny Sexton, that there's like an obsession at the moment with, look at the hips, look at Johnny's hips and look at every other 10's hips, and I feel like I have that crabbing the pot across the pitch tendency. I'm on the lookout for it increasingly. What struck me about Toulouse and a couple of their tries is there were times where they were like crabbing across the pitch and you would think, the touchline is about to become a big friend of the Sharks and someone's about to be smashed and into touch. And it seems when Toulouse get out into the touchline, I don't know, is it the quality of the support runners or the skill set, but they seem to, there's a pass back inside, quick as you like, boom, boom, boom. They seem particularly brilliant when they're in that tight situation on the touchline. I don't know what your read on that is.
Yeah, that's just Toulouse doing what they've been doing brilliantly, and I suppose embracing French rugby. This probably all started back in 2019, I think, when France really started going back to that roots of the really deep second wave passes, getting the ball into pace guy, getting their pace men with the ball in hand. But the difference, I think, with say a lot of their outside backs is they're comfortable making decisions at high pace. So that's what you're talking about, getting into those wider channels. But they're stressing the defence. So the defence can't react. So as soon as they see somebody being pulled out of the line, they let the ball go. So if somebody overchases, they let the ball go back on the inside and they expect somebody to be in there. If somebody steps in, which they did a number of times, it's that real nerve when you're the person on the outside. How long can you stay on the touchline and how long can the defender stay there to mark you, while he's trusting the inside defender to hunt down the guy. And as soon as his head, look, you talk about hips, but as soon as you see eyes coming in and the ball's released, they're gone. And they're just so good at that. And I think that is something that this Toulouse team are very, very good at making those decisions in the wide channels, but they're doing it at such pace. You talk about, like, as you're talking about the hips with Johnny Sexton, these guys are just looking for eyes. As soon as an eye comes in or feet get planted, you're dead in the wide channels, and that's all they're looking for. But they've been doing this now for 4 or 5 years, so they're so comfortable in that, and they're very similar to Leinster and top teams that when the ball goes to ground, they don't, like, there's no, hands in the air. There's no, it's just, it didn't work that time. We just keep going, keep coming. And they do. It's just that wave of attack that, say, in this exam, the Sharks weren't able to live with, and Leicester weren't able to live with Leinster, because they just know they're going to get the ball back and they're just going to keep going, and they're going to keep going.
And do you share Rory's sense that the 2023 version of Toulouse will arrive into Dublin in better shape than last year?
Yeah, they do. You look at some of the kind of key players seem to be back on a bit of form. Was there a bit of a hangover from, it's hard to gauge how good Dupont is, because you kind of have to go, he wasn't playing as well as he possibly could, maybe during the Six Nations all the time, and a little bit post with Toulouse. But Tamac and Ramos, the back three that they're, what is the winger?
LaBelle.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't get his. He has been really, really impressive as well. They're two, just his ability to beat players in the wide channels, is going to be an issue. But it's going to be it's a good old fashioned, in the best possible of the way, a toe to toe slugging match of open field running, which makes for a brilliant spectacle.
Yeah.
But this is to actually answer your question, it is a better version of Toulouse that's coming.
And Capuzzo could be back as well, so that'll just throw another name into the mix. He'd be an exciting one to see as well live. And we see what he can do in an Italy team that's improving, but you throw him into that back line with those threats. And he didn't do much against Munster in the games in the pool stages, but this looks set up for him if he can get fit. But it'd be hard to get him in. It's hard. They've Chamonix's there as well. I think he's leaving at the end of the season. I mean, you just keep listing names, but their array of options and talent. Like last year, they were coming off the back of that extra time game against Munster. They'd won the double the previous season. Most of them had won the Grand Slam. I think it was tough. They were on their last legs, whereas they play Stade and Lyon over the next 2 games, which is the second and fourth place teams third and fourth place teams in the top 14. But they have a 6-point cushion on La Rochelle, who are in a similar boat to them. I think they can probably go hard at one of them and then rest up for the other. Obviously, Leinster have sent the Espoirs off to South Africa and can rest up everyone, but I think they're both going to be putting a serious focus on this game.
So parallel universe, Gordon Ramos plays for Leinster. He's on his own end line and he passes the ball soccer style back to Rob Kearney, and he sits in the dressing room with you afterwards and he says, "Hey buddy, did you like that?" Are you telling him, don't you ever do that again, or are you nodding approvingly saying, "More of that, please, whatever you feel like doing, buddy"?
Yeah, more of that. Give it to me. I'd love it. It's doing it on the pitch. So the thing is, if you're doing that on the pitch, you're doing that in training. And that goes back to, early days, Leinster under Alan Gaffney. And he's just like, lads, whatever you think, go for it. Doesn't matter how crazy it is, just if the thought process is right, the execution, if you can back yourself to do the execution, go for it. David Knox, when he was in Leicester, same thing. He's encouraging that because if you don't do stuff differently, you don't. Defenses are going to continually to swamp you. But as soon as you can make them guess, and the great thing about that is, defenses are going to guess now the next time he's running with his back to the ball, with his back to you, the same way anybody who's running down Tamac when he's back in the covering field, he doesn't want to get turned in like a turkey when Tamac did against New Zealand in the November series. It was 2 years ago, I think. But yeah, I gotta say, I was looking at it, I was loving it, and it does feel like the coach is there going, yeah. If that's what we need to do to push the envelope to win trophies, then I think it has. But the king is, once he got the skill set to do it. I tried a few things once upon a time, and I remember getting my centre colleague just a little reminder in the ear and just went, some things should be left behind.
There you go. That was but a taste of the full rugby conversation. As usual, you can get the full chat wherever you get your podcast. It's waiting for you right now.